Now, when you are a practitioner, in effect, you are already saying that I have absolutely no doubt, no problem. I have absolute confidence in Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha. I mean, the triple gems, you're saying that. You're saying that your Saddha is strong. Yes? And therefore, for you, Saddha is not just an emotion. It is a bala, a force, and an indriya, a skill. What do we mean by that? Why is it in one point, at one stage, I call it just a mental state, an emotion, but here I call it a force and a skill? For a practitioner, this Saddha enables him or her to be able to achieve more. And therefore, Saddha, for this person, is not just an emotion. Saddha is an emotion, right? You feel faith. You feel confidence. It's just a feeling. I believe in you. You feel it. But if it were just a feeling, then that's it lah. What else do you do with it? For a practitioner, yes, that feeling is strong. It is there. But more than just a feeling, the Saddha has to help this individual do things, achieve things. That's why it has a power. And it is a skill, meaning Saddha needs to be developed, needs to be built, has to be understood properly. How does it become a force and a tool for them? Saddha is now a tool for them. Okay? Saddha, if you have the Saddha of a practitioner, the faith of a practitioner, it increases your desire to practice intensely. It tells you that you want to clean up that mind. Virya is about making the effort to clean up the mind's space. Virya is not just energy. It's energy to keep the mind space clean. Anything that is negative, negative thoughts, negative instincts, jam it, push it out. If negative thoughts and instincts are not there, don't let them surface. Positive thoughts, positive instincts, if they are there, keep them growing. If they are not there, bring them up, all these positive thoughts and instincts. Saddha, having the faith, believing in the Buddha, recognizing that the Dhamma has to be practiced in a certain way, will lead to these individuals saying, I must practice the way the Buddha said so. And one of the things the Buddha said was, I got to watch my mind. I got to learn not to allow the negative instincts to grip my mind. And I will do it. And virya, Saddha feeds virya. Virya feeds sati samadhi. You don't have the capacity and the skill to force all those negativities out of your mind and to keep it pure. It's going to be very difficult to be able to do sati samadhi properly. Sati, mindfulness, samadhi, concentration. Very difficult. You have no sati, no samadhi, you can forget about trying to develop panya. It won't happen. So the 5 mental states will spin in a certain way. You don't have the first one here. You don't have this guy. See how the rest wouldn't follow? Subsequent lectures, I will explain at length all of them. But today, just this guy, Saddha. Okay? Now, I'm going to show you a sutta where the Buddha explicitly explained Saddha. Bhikkhu, I do not say that final knowledge is achieved all at once. On the contrary, final knowledge is achieved by gradual training, by gradual practice, by gradual progress. This start point is an extremely important point to bear in mind. This practice is not about instant enlightenment. It comprises many steps. It is a journey of self-discovery. It comprises many steps. It takes a while depending on how committed you are, how good a practitioner are you, how well you develop the skills, how wise you are, how good you are at letting go. And all these things, your understanding, your conduct fits each other. It takes a while to get there. How does there come to be gradual training, gradual practice, gradual progress? Now he's going to describe all the steps necessary, must be undertaken in order to practice. Look at what it starts off with. Saddha. In this journey, it starts with you having saddha. And then because you have saddha, you make a choice to go to the teacher. He who has faith visits, and when he visits, he pays respect. You may not realize the significance of this point. You make a choice to approach someone, right? And when you make that choice to approach the person, you have already decided this individual, you're going to see him as a teacher. And so when you visit, you pay respect. This paying of respect is very important because if you don't pay respect, your ego is not put in the pocket. Buddha breaks it down to steps. You make a choice, you go to him. When you go to him, you take a bow. It is your way of telling your own mind that I think this individual has something to teach me, and I'm going to put my ego, because our ego is very big, right? So you cannot shove it into the pocket. You will leave it out at the door. It's too big to follow into your pocket, okay? So you put that aside, and then look, because you pay your respect, you will put your attention on listening. In the old days, they don't have PowerPoint. They have only verbal communication, no reading, no visual, only verbal. Therefore, give ear. When you give ear, he who gives ear hears the Dhamma. You pay attention to listening, you can hear it. You didn't pay attention, you heard nothing. I told you earlier, right? Sometimes he breaks it down into putting your attention there and then hearing it. He doesn't assume. And then you heard it, you memorized it. Okay? Now the Buddha really breaks it down into steps for you to see. I told you earlier on that in the other one, I didn't put in all those missing parts. This one, he put it back in. This is one sutta where he goes into details, okay? You heard. Did you remember, in other words? You hear and you don't remember, can't compare. Compare what? Compare nothing. So you memorize. Because you have done that, you can examine the meaning. He broke it down into one more step. You take whatever you can remember and you examine. Now this is very interesting. What you examine is based on what you remember. Yes? It is not based on what's truth. It's not even based on what he taught. See what the Buddha say? You pay your respect. You listen. You pay attention, you hear. You heard, you memorize. And you examine the meaning of the thing you remember. Whatever you examine is based on how you understand and remember, in other words. So therefore, right at the start point, when you are hearing the Dhamma, you got to pay attention. Because if you compete with the speaker to give running commentaries on what is being taught, then what you will have and what you remember is partially what he said, partially what you were saying. The problem is there, okay? Partially what he said, that's all you heard. And what you were saying because you were doing running commentary as he was teaching. So it can be very garbled. Okay? Examines the meaning of the teaching he has memorized, or you remembered. Then comes, when you examine meaning, you gain a reflective acceptance of those teachings. A reflective acceptance means you thought about it, you take the parts that make meaning, that has some sense to you, and you say, these I can agree with. When you have gained a reflective acceptance of those teachings, meaning after you have compared, and you say, it makes sense, I like what I am reading, I like what I am hearing, okay? Then comes the sense of love it. Zeal springs up. If you were to reflect, and then you say it doesn't really tally with my life, surely no zeal. Surely no zeal. But if you reflect and you say, actually there's a correlation, I can see it, I can see how it applies, then comes this enthusiasm. And because you had zeal, then you want to do it. He applies will. The virya comes in, you see. When you apply will, you also continue to examine at a deeper level. Once you say, I'm going into the Dhamma, I'm going into the practice, this is the part where you are committed. Having been committed, you are now going in depth. Scrutinizers is to go in depth into examining the teaching. If you want to go in depth into examining the teaching without even understanding it at different levels, you're going to run into all kinds of problems. This one, you notice that you hear, you think, you compare with your own experience, you go back to getting excited, and then you reflect deeper. There is a toggling process going on. Think, practice, reflect, think, practice, reflect. It keeps doing that. Back to striving. See that? Understand, reflect, practice. There is this constant thing going on. Okay? You strive. This is conduct. This is practice. This is knowledge. Not the same. See, thinking, feelings, will practice, back to thinking, conduct. You see this thing going on and on, this process. It is a process. Reflection, understanding, practice, back to reflection, understanding, practice. It keeps going on. It's not one-off. It goes on and on. And for those of you who have gone for retreats, who have gone into your own practices, you know that was what's happening in your mind. You understand, you apply, you see how it works, it tallies with the teaching, you say, yes, it's like that, let's do it again. You continue practicing, you reflect, and so on. It keeps going like this, okay? Resolutely striving. So it is different levels. All these also tells you different levels of commitment. Initially, superficially, eventually very deeply. It goes deep. Then you realize the ultimate truth, and you see it by penetrating it with wisdom. The ultimate way of realizing Dhamma is through understanding. It's understanding. Penetrating with wisdom, this wisdom is panya. So that original circle that I had with the Saddha, Virya, Sati, Samadhi, Panya, that thing is actually a summary of this. So you don't remember all these things, you remember that cycle. Okay? That's how it spins. This is from Kitagiri Sutta. Kitagiri Sutta, Majjhima Nikaya 70. Okay? So, what does Saddha mean for the practitioner? There are a few parts to this. If you're a practitioner, the Saddha, first and foremost, is a conviction, passionate belief that the Buddha was right, that the Dhamma works, that people can understand, and you yourself can get it. Can get it. A belief of conviction. What's the difference between that conviction and a belief? A belief is something you're not sure, you may not have knowledge. You may not have the knowledge, but you think it works like this. Conviction is far stronger than a belief. It has a far more potent oomph. And often conviction comes with some ideas, some knowledge. But whatever it is, this anchors the individual in the practice. You believe that this works, then you must want it. And it is Saddha that keeps you going. So it's not just something that sits in the mind, it is something that anchors the heart on the path. Adds strength, tells you, I will keep going, I won't give up. You see, the path is not easy. At any one time when you need to make choices, all those little choices, it's not the big thing, it's just little things, the little choices. Do you or do you not argue? Do you or do you not scold the fella? Can you or can you not forgive? Are you going to let something stand? That kind of little, it's day to day. It's day to day. Those are the difficult ones. The big ones, do I or do I not sacrifice for mankind? That's easy. Because a lot of us don't do it, so we can, right? Yeah, of course I'll sacrifice for mankind. The person you know is dying. He needs the kidney. Do you or do you not donate? That one a bit harder, especially if they were a brother or sister, because that's for real already. You say yes, they're going to test. That's harder. It's the one that sits next to you. That's the hardest. Not the big one out there. That's easy. The person say to you, can you come and sit with me? Because I said, but you want to go for Dhamma class. Oh, no, you're not going for Dhamma class because Dhamma class goes without saying you must go. You're going for coffee with your friend. And this person whines at you. I want you to sit with me, I said. That's when you make the real choices of life. These are the little things that can get you off track. I know you say they won't get me off track. Yeah, I'm sure. For you, no lah. For others, maybe you get them off track. But this is the thing is, when we are talking about hanging on to this path, is when maybe you run into some trouble. Maybe you feel like the world is against you. Everyone says you. Then your career's going nowhere. Then you're caught up with having arguments with your neighbor over don't know what, litter that they sweep on the floor, little things. And then you get a bit caught up with your mind. You're down, you're depressed. This is when you tell yourself, I think I know the practice. I think I'll keep going. I won't give it up. Okay? When your meditation for the 11th day and nothing happens, and your retreat is coming to your end because you signed up for a 12-day thing. And then you get out of retreat going, I gain nothing. That's when you go, but there must be something. I cannot just keep this up. Okay? Interestingly, Saddha, joy and delight. You know, I kept saying that the path can be difficult. I kept saying that. But if you have faith, if you have Saddha is actually, in terms of emotion, Saddha is a beautiful light joy. It actually brings out in you a sense of joy. You may not realize it, but you think about it. Every time if you are the sort who have this deep sense of connection with Buddha, for instance, if you feel you have a sense of connection with Buddha, and to think of the Buddha and you feel this delight, do you have that? Some of you have, some of you don't know what I'm saying. Have that? The ones who have it, you are lucky. The ones who feel this connection with the Buddha, just by thinking of him, you feel delight. Yes? No? How many know? Nobody dare to put up their hand. In this forum, cannot say this kind of no to her. But seriously, how many of you feel it? Just by thinking of the Buddha and you feel this joy that arises. How many? Okay, the rest of you need to practice. Let me explain why. Saddha, that faith, actually makes you happy. So for those of you with Saddha in the Buddha, you know what I mean, right? Just by thinking of him, thinking of his practice, thinking of what a wonderful guy he was. I wish I was born 2,500 years earlier. Those are the ones, by thinking of the Buddha, they feel the joy. That joy keeps you going when you are down in the practice. When you say, it's lost, I have no clue what the teacher is saying. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to finish my 2 months retreat and I see nothing. I'm so depressed, right? Yeah, but Buddha says this, Buddha must be right. Faith restored, stays on track. But if you don't have that joy in the Buddha, then what you need is Dhamma joy. What do I mean by that? It means that you really have, you back up. Your plan B is Dhamma, okay? So what you will need is actually to have a moment, just one moment, when you can see anicca. For instance, anicca, impermanence, just one moment of seeing the anicca, just one moment of seeing this connection between dukkha and craving, just that. All these little bits of teaching that the Buddha had been giving, just one moment of seeing it for yourself, maybe, just maybe for you, that's enough to build faith, Saddha, in Dhamma. For some of you, because of your connections with particular practitioners, monk, for instance, because of your connection, then all you're depending on is on your belief that that practitioner got it right. That practitioner is a good practitioner. And then for you, that's your connection. You actually need this kind of little link. Because if you don't have this link, then whatever faith that you say you have, it's weak. It's very weak. It's a conceptual saying only. You need something concrete. Okay? Now, this joy that you can bring up helps you to keep going. That's all I'm saying. Saddha, if you have it, makes it possible for you to hear Dhamma. If you don't have Saddha, your mind is closed. But more importantly, for the practitioner, this is the one you need to remember. It enables you to follow instruction without too much thinking or questioning. Let me explain. Okay, follow this. You see, in order for you to be able to practice well, your ego cannot be in the way. Why do I say that? A lot of us think we know better. A lot of us wonder, your teacher say one thing, you may think, no, it should be like that. Or it may be a case where you read the sutta, you have your own interpretation, then that becomes your way of practicing it. Well, I have all kinds of problems. If you're practicing under somebody, you're learning it from someone, you have to listen. You cannot think too much. You have to follow the teachings faithfully and judiciously. If you were to go into the sutta, just look at the sutta. In the suttas, the Buddha explained the steps very carefully. But for many of us, when we look at the suttas, either we think too much, we don't follow the words as is, we argue a lot. See, our ego all in a way, we argue a lot. How many of you know of people, not you of course, but other people who argue a lot? Debate over Saddha. I can bet you people debate over Saddha, Virya, everything they debate over. Quote suttas, left, right, center. But they don't just stop there. Look at the text and follow accordingly. Instead, they come with their own version. So this little Saddha that enables the individual to follow the steps carefully. Don't think, just follow. When the teacher tell you, that's thought construction, you must let it go. The teacher say, don't think, you stop thinking. The teacher say, you just watch objectively. You ask, what's objective? That's all you do. Don't say, but objective, I can also do it like this, ma. Then objective and like this, can, right? You teacher, I teacher. So you see the problem? We talk a lot, unfortunately, and when we do that, it disrupts the practice. Okay?